Welcome to the CloverCast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Stephen Jones, giving you the most Celtics information in the least amount of time. You are getting an overcast of the Boston Celtics, and this is your weekly CloverCast. Welcome, Celtics fans. The preseason is finally over, and the regular season starts tomorrow, Tuesday, against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Boston Celtics ended the preseason 2-2, a 500 record, beating the Hornets twice and losing to the Raptors twice. Both times losing to the Raptors in overtime. The preseason record really doesn't matter so much because the starters didn't play starter minutes, but it gave them an opportunity to try a few things. They got to see their training camp roster play and made a decision to keep two players from training camp, and Noah Vonleh and Justin Jackson. They most likely both won't get too many minutes in the regular season unless injuries pile up, but they showed a lot of skills in the preseason that will help the team develop at least in practices. Noah Vonleh may see some time at the beginning of the season, especially with the Rob Williams injury and him missing a little bit of time. The C's struggled to rebound the ball in the Toronto losses, and Vonleh has proven to be an effective rebounder, at least in the few preseason minutes that he's got. They've also got Fiondo Cabindelli on a two-way contract, and he can help with some big man minutes as well. The preseason ended with Jaylen Brown as the leading scorer in points per game. He had 22.3 points per game. Jayson Tatum had 18.3 points per game, and Derek White had 14.5 points per game. Sam Hauser with 12 points per game, and Al Horford with 9.3 points per game. Of course, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum will both average a lot more points per game in the regular season. Like I said before, they had very limited minutes in this preseason, so we won't really worry about the points per game so much. The rebounds per game, though, you see Jayson Tatum getting 8.3 rebounds a game. That's very good considering he only played a few minutes a game. Noah Vonleh is number two at 7.3 rebounds a game. Like I said, he's going to be able to help the Celtics in that category. Blake Griffin coming through with 6 rebounds a game. He's going to be very effective for the Celtics. I do believe he'll play a lot of minutes, already fitting in very well with the team chemistry-wise, both on and off the court. They're having a lot of fun, joking around a lot during practice. It's great to see that. Al Horford and Grant Williams both getting 5 rebounds a game. As far as the assists, Malcolm Brogdon, the new guy coming in, averaging 6.7 points a game. 6.7 assists a game. The Celtics have not been known for having a point guard getting that many assists a game, or a lot of assists a game, since Rajon Rondo. So I'm looking forward to see if Malcolm Brogdon really ups that stat and allows the Celtics to have a lot more assists per game. The Celtics do swing the ball around a lot, so you've got a lot of guys averaging a number of assists. Peyton Pritchard, 4.5 assists per game. It was good to see him come in and show a lot of skill, because there's a lot of questions on whether or not he's going to get minutes or how many minutes he's going to get with of course, Marcus Smart starting. You got Malcolm Brogdon, and you've got Derek White. So there's a lot of questions as to whether or not Peyton Pritchard is going to get a lot of minutes. But it looks like Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, and Marcus Smart, at times, 2 of them are going to play together. So you're going to see a lot of shooting guard minutes being taken up by some of these point guards. So that's going to allow Peyton Pritchard to be able to play more. Jayson Tatum with 4 assists a game. That's very key, because Jayson Tatum being double teamed, he's the number 1 guy on our team that's going to be double teamed. So for him to be able to make quick reads, make quick passes when he gets double teamed, to be able to see the floor, it's going to be key. It's going to help the team tremendously, and he has improved season to season, but it's been good to see him get some really good assists in this preseason. We'll see what the regular season has in store. Marcus Smart 3.7 assists. I suspect that's going to be up a lot more in the regular season. Al Horford with 3.3 assists. Of course, as a big man, that's why we love him. He can do a little bit of everything. Al Horford's going to be able to pass the ball and make those reads. 37 years old. He's going to have a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge of the game that he's going to be able to provide for the team. That's a lot more than just his regular skill set. Of course, he's physically a big guy and imposes his will on the offense and on the defense. He can shoot the three really well, which is something that he wasn't doing at the beginning of his career. So I'm looking forward to see Al Horford come through. Speaking of him, he led the way along with Grant Williams in blocks per game with 1 block a game. Of course, Rob Williams is going to be the guy that spearheads that category as far as blocks per game. Obviously, he's a defensive monster. If you're not too familiar with Rob Williams, I'm not so sure what you've been watching. However, I'm excited for you to come in and see him this year if you are new. Derek White at 0.8 blocks per game. I know that's pretty low, but for a guard, it's good to see. He's pesky on the defense, although he got chewed up a little bit by some of the point guards. They attacked him quite a bit. He's got a little bit of improving to do. It's preseason. J.D. Davison, it was good to see him get half a block a game. And then Marcus Smart with 0.3 blocks a game. Not really too impressive, but these are small numbers. Again, these guys are not playing a lot of minutes. Steals per game, you've got the Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart, with 1.3 steals per game. That's most likely going to increase during the regular season as he plays more minutes. I'm excited to see how he plays, knowing that he's the Defensive Player of the Year. I don't expect his intensity to drop at all. I expect him to still be hungry. They haven't won a championship yet, so that's still in the back of their minds. Jayson Tatum was 0.7 steals a game, and then half a steal a game for Derek White, Jaylen Brown, and Jake Layman, who doesn't make the team, unfortunately for him, but he may find another team to contribute as well, but not here in Boston. So as far as minutes per game, this is key, because this will tell you exactly why some of these numbers have been low. Marcus Smart led the way with 27.5 minutes per game. Jaylen Brown with 27.4, and Jayson Tatum with 27 minutes a game. There you see, these guys are going to play upwards to 35 minutes a game. Al Horford with 24.4 minutes a game. That actually might be close to where he plays. Unless he gets a lot of off days, which is what I'm hearing. He's going to have off days in one of the back-to-back games that they play in the season. When they play the back-to-backs, he'll take one of those games off, most likely in every back-to-back that they play. They want to rest him. Again, he's an older player, and he's much needed for the playoffs. He may get his minutes up a little bit higher now, like I said, since Rob Williams is out. But Grant Williams with 23.5 minutes a game. And again, this guy has improved tremendously. We've already seen that he's improved his three-point percentage. It's just been getting better and better, and everybody's just closing out on him harder because they know that he's a three-point shooter. So what I've seen from him in the preseason is his ability to put the ball on the floor and drive and create contact and finish through the contact when he's able to beat guys off the closeout, because they're so scared that he's going to shoot that three. That's going to be a huge leap. One thing that people need to understand about this team, yes, we added a couple new guys. However, the main guys that we have on this team, they're still young. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. I mean, he's still improving, even though he's, what is he, 28 years old now. And you got Grant Williams is still a young guy. He's still improving. Peyton Pritchard. You got a lot of young guys on this team. So it's good to see the improvement. And that's what you should be looking forward to as one of the ways that we're able to improve this season as a whole. Of course, Malcolm Brogdon is going to make a huge difference on this team. Of course, Blake Griffin. He's going to make an impact. How much? I'm not so sure. But in his limited minutes, or in his limited time on the court, missing a bunch of games last season for the Nets, he still finished number 1 in the league with charges. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does on the defensive end for the Celtics. Not as athletic as he used to be, of course, so he's not going to fly up for those blocks. Some guys, especially some of these younger guys, they still remember Blake Griffin for his dunks. And they may still believe that that's the player that he is, have that type of fear, and believe that he's going to come in and block that shot. And when they notice that he's not jumping up, he's just standing still in the way, and they just run right into him because they're expecting him to use that leaping ability. However, he's changed his game. He's been working on his shot ever since he came into the league, and he's hit a number of three-pointers in this preseason. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does for the Celtics this season. He only played in 2 games, Blake Griffin, 14 minutes a game. Blake Griffin only shot 30% from the field, so not looking too good there. Only shot 25% from 3, but small sample size. So I'm not really too worried about that. Derek White leading the way, other than Noah Vonleh, who hit his only 3-pointer, 100% from the 3. We're not going to count that. There's, at the end of the season, they always do the awards, and there's always a minimum of games played or minutes played in order to be able to achieve the most, whichever stat that they're counting in that category. So Derek White was number 1 with 55%, and 52% was Jaylen Brown from the 3-point line. I don't think that's going to sustain. Who shoots over 50% from the 3-point line? But again, small sample size. It's good to see them start off hot. Speaking of starting off hot, Sam Hauser, 48%, and his shots just look butter. He can score. His 3-point shot, the only thing that's really changed about it from last season is he's worked on his release, on how quickly he's been able to get off his shots, and you can see it. As soon as he catches the ball is up in the air, and the defenders have no chance to come back and block the shot. So kudos to him for working on that shot. It's going to help the Celtics out tremendously. And he's been improving on his defense. The Celtics do not like to play a guy who cannot play defense, no matter how good they are on offense, which is one of the reasons why, unfortunately, we're not going to see an Isaiah Thomas come back, even though Brad Stevens loves him. So maybe eventually in the future, I don't see that happening at all. Everybody's still rooting for it. Still has a little tear coming down because he left. Yes, he left, but he got traded away, not on his own accord. Kabengele, he was fun to watch in his limited 12 minutes a game. Yeah, he shot 75% from the field and 33% from the 3, but he's just a ball of energy, and I love to see that. Always super exciting to watch him play. That's the preseason there. There's a couple other guys that I didn't like. We'll talk about Malcolm Brogdon, who did play 20 minutes a game. He shot 37% from the field and 20% from 3. So those shots need to fall. You gotta play a little bit better than that. However, the rest of his game was very impressive. Like I said before, 6.7 assists per game. He was moving the ball around. He was attacking the rim a lot. He's going to open up the floor tremendously for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown and some of the rest of the guys as well. He's going to be able to find the open guy. He's going to be able to drive and cross up his man to be able to draw in the double team himself. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to the floor in this upcoming season. That's it for the preseason wrap-up. There's a couple things that happened as far as a couple technical fouls at the end of the game of the last preseason game. Jayson Tatum getting ejected for slamming the ball on the ground, and then a couple words that he said. Did it warrant him getting ejected? I don't think so. However, it's a preseason game. You got to keep your cool. I know the refs are in preseason mode as well. And another technical foul was called on Grant Williams for. And he said, "What did he say to the ref? Referee the game, not your emotions." And it's a funny statement, but you don't want to make that to the ref. You can't say that to the ref, and he knows that. He knows he needs to get better. He addressed those comments, and he addressed them very well. And at the end of the press conference, at the end of the interview, he asked, "Am I going to get in trouble for talking about the refs and the technicals?" And no, I don't think he's going to get in trouble for it. He didn't say anything negative about it. He didn't go on his own spiel about why he was in the right. He said he needed to get better, and he believes that they will get better in the regular season. And just his level of maturity at that age is very impressive. Again, a lot of young guys on this team, and the level of maturity is very impressive, as said also by Blake Griffin when he came into this team. That's one of the things that he noticed right away was the professionalism that everybody had, as well as the camaraderie, everybody welcoming him and recognizing that he's right away, very quickly, he's already a part of the team, already won with everybody else. So seeing the fluidness of this team, it's really impressive, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, what we saw out of the Warriors with Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole in the face, hopefully that ruins their season. You should not wish for somebody else's downfall. I understand, but this is basketball. This is the NBA. This isn't really serious stuff in the long run, which one of the things that I'm really impressed with as far as the Celtics roster is just about every guy on this team. Their lifestyle and their mindset outside of basketball is really impressive. Just the faith that a lot of these guys have, whether it be their faith in God. One of the new guys, Justin Jackson, attributed his faith to how he's gotten to where he is and how he's been able to stay level-headed through this whole process. And of course, we've heard from Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum saying the same things, and a couple other guys as well. So I'm really excited to see the camaraderie that a lot of these guys have. And you don't have to have that type of faith in God in order to contribute to this team. However, it's the lifestyle that you live. There's guys on this team that have different faiths or different beliefs. However, you can see that their lifestyle is one in which they want to uplift those around them. They want to make the team better, all the way up to the top to Jayson Tatum. So you see guys like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown saying, "I just want to make my teammates better. I want to be able to do what I can best." And they know that they're the best scorers on this team, so they know that that's the way that they're going to impact this team. They know that they're really good defenders, really good athletes. So they're going to do what they can to help the team, but they're also going to do what they can to help the guys around them get better. And all the way down to Justin Jackson at the bottom of the depth chart, just making the team, saying that his role is to make these other guys better, whether or not he plays any minutes in the regular season. And he hopes for no injuries. He understands that injuries is most likely what is going to help him get on the court, and he wishes that doesn't happen. Not because he doesn't want to get on the court, of course he does, but because he doesn't want that for his team. He wants his team to play well. He wants his team to. He knows that this team is very, very deep. So I'm excited. Justin Jackson was a fun player to watch back in North Carolina, and so I'm excited to see what he brings to the Celtics on the court. I wanted to see him play some minutes. I just hope that it doesn't happen as a result of injuries. However, you saw what happened with the Patriots. Mac Jones going down and Bailey Zapp coming through and winning some games for the Patriots. This is not a Patriots podcast, so that's all I have to say about that. However, let's move on to the regular season coming up tomorrow, Tuesday. You've got the Celtics, the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, of course, really trying to get an MVP. He feels like he was overlooked. And when you got a league with guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Nikola Jokic, it's going to be hard to win an MVP. LeBron James, Steph Curry, you've got some guys who really take over the game. Of course, LeBron has not been LeBron last season. He's getting older, so I don't expect LeBron to be in the running for MVP this upcoming year. However, he could prove us all wrong. But he's on the Lakers, so you know how we all feel about that. But Jayson Tatum, hopefully, and what we all suspect is that he's going to be in the running for the MVP. If the Celtics have a regular season record that's better than the teams in the West, and of course they want to get the number one seed, I can see that happening. However, what I'm confused about as far as the MVP last year was that Nikola Jokic is not the best defensive player. So MVPs usually have to be good on both sides of the court. He's not trash, he's not a throwaway, and he's really good at rebounding, really good at passing, shooting. He's a big guy who can dribble. He could do a lot for his team. I'm not hating on the guy, but I see as a back-to-back MVP, it's a little strange to me to see him win it, and I'm looking forward to seeing somebody else step up and take that MVP away from him, and I'm hoping that it's not Joel Embiid. So I'm hoping that the Celtics get off to a strong start and keep him in check, do what they can to not allow him to go off. However, they've also got James Harden. We've all seen James Harden the last couple years. He's not the same James Harden as before, or at least he has not been. But this upcoming season, Doc Rivers seems to want to let him loose. So look out for him to really have a good start to the season, having a good game against the Celtics. However, if you remember, Marcus Smart playing against James Harden, the Celtics versus the Rockets, when he had the last minute end of the game charges on James Harden. The ball was out of bounds. The Houston Rockets were trying to pass the ball in to James Harden. Marcus Smart was just standing in front of James Harden, and James Harden runs him over, and they call the offensive foul, Celtics ball. That was fun to watch because there were two offensive fouls just like that in a row. So I'm not too worried about James Harden. It seems like Marcus Smart is very confident that they can stop him, and they've got a lot of wing guys who can really make it difficult for James Harden. However, he's going to make some difficult shots. You can't really stop that. I believe that, I know the Celtics' philosophy sometimes is let the other team's main guy cook. Let him go off. It doesn't matter. Make sure that the rest of the team is not able to do anything. And that's a good strategy. However, when you got two guys who can really go off, who are you going to let go off? In my opinion, especially with Rob Williams out, I believe that Joel Embiid is going to get his points. He's going to get his rebounds. He's most likely going to get his blocks as well. I believe he's going to have a great game, and it's going to be key to make sure that the rest of the team does not go off. However, things happen, and ultimately you just got to score more buckets than the other team, of course. Who I'm looking at to make the most impact on this team is, in my opinion, is going to be Jayson Tatum. I think that's obvious. I think that's who a lot of people are going to look at. But they've got Tobias Harris, who's probably going to be covering him a lot. But I'm not afraid of him. I don't think Jayson Tatum is. And they're going to be doubling him. But if Tatum, like I said, can just make those quick passes when he's double teamed, this team's going to have a really good game. But expect this game to be tough. I don't expect an easy win. The Sixers may come out and win this game. I'm not expecting that. However, this is the regular season. Any team can beat anybody. You know, the Orlando Magic, they can beat the Golden State Warriors. So I'm not really too worried about just one single game. However, when you put the whole season in perspective, you want to be good throughout the whole season. Remember last year, the Celtics were not good the whole season. They weren't really too good until February. So they've got to come out to it with a strong start. A loss to Philly is not going to kill him, but a win against Philly is going to be a huge statement. And then Friday, the Celtics play the Miami Heat. Remember, they went 7 games against Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. That team's not done. They're a very well-coached team. So to start off the season with the 76ers and the Heat, it's going to be tough for the Celtics. The Celtics playing their first game in Boston against the 76ers. It's a home game, and playing an away game against Miami on Friday, and then staying in Florida on Saturday, playing against the Orlando Magic. A little bit easier of a matchup. So the Celtics can start off 3-0. It's going to be very impressive. You don't want them to win against Philly and Miami and then lose to Orlando. It's just a deflating loss when you lose to a team like Orlando. A good team, you got to beat the teams that you can beat, that you should win. With the Miami game, that game, you got to be able to stop Bam Adebayo in the center again. The big guys are going to have to step up. Which guy is going to play a lot of minutes to be able to stop him? Having those 2 games on the schedule, yes, there's Wednesday and Thursday, those 2 games to rest and strategize against Miami, but you've got 2 big guys. Of course, Joel Embiid is a lot better than Bam Adebayo. However, don't sleep on Bam. He's somebody you got to be able to put in check, and without Rob Williams, it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets, he has good games and not so good games, where on the stat sheet, he doesn't show up sometimes. So I'm not really sure what to expect if you play fantasy basketball. I do not suggest putting Jimmy Butler on your team. Orlando is going to be a fun game to watch, though. Just because Orlando is projected to be one of the worst teams this year doesn't mean not to watch them. Paolo Banchero is going to be an interesting guy to watch, to see how well he plays. And Jalen Suggs in his second year, seeing how well he steps up, is going to be interesting to watch as well. He was injured in the preseason, Jalen Suggs. However, he's going to be able to play in Orlando's opening season game. So, although he didn't really have an impressive rookie season, everybody remembers him, or hopefully, probably, if you're a college basketball fan, you remember him in Gonzaga. As far as the Orlando Magic game goes, I'm interested in looking at some of the bench players, seeing if the Celtics can really play hard at first and get a good lead on Orlando, so that some of these bench players can get some extended minutes. And I'm interested in seeing who is able to step up in those minutes. However, you can never just expect something like that to happen. Orlando is still an NBA team, and they still have the capability of even winning against the Celtics. So it'll be interesting to watch that game and see how the Celtics do. And hopefully we can end off the first week with a 3-0 record. And if not, and if we do or if we don't, we'll be back here next week to wrap up this week, and I'll give you all the stats and all the information you need to know, some sound bites from some of the interviews that happened during the week, and we can recap. And then I'll be able to be here every single week for you, to be able to preview the week, the upcoming week, and review the week before that, and give you some odd stats here and there. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am for the upcoming Celtics season. Hopefully it's a good one. Hopefully it's one where we get first place in the East at least, and we're able to get home court advantage. It's so important. However, we didn't have home court advantage against Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals and still won, but we didn't have home court advantage in the finals against the Warriors, which may or may not have helped us win that series. So look for the Celtics to aim for the number 1 seed, so that they can have home court advantage throughout the season, and so that they can get off to a better start. The better you do in the regular season, it doesn't always translate. You've seen this happen with teams like the Phoenix Suns being number 1 in the league and still not winning the championship. So don't put too much hope into the regular season record, or don't take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. However, there's a lot of importance to it. And I don't think this team is built to have a good regular season randomly and not show up in the playoffs. However, the teams in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference that I'm worried about the most, or at least I will just mention one team, that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, we beat them in 7 games. However, they didn't have Chris Middleton, the number 2 guy. So it's time to show and prove that we can still beat Milwaukee even when they are at full health. You never want to see other people try to put an asterisk on your season or try to put an asterisk on a game because, oh, this guy wasn't playing or that guy wasn't playing. It's out of their control. And I'm excited to see Joe Mazzulla and how he's able to rally this team together, especially through any losing streaks that we're able to have. And to hear some of his sound bites throughout the season and what he has to say in his interviews, it seems like he has great composure already, being able to answer questions in the right way. It seems like he's ready to lead this team. It seems like he's ready to coach for the first time. We had a first-time coach last season, and we made it to the finals. So now this season, with a new head coach, somebody who's been with the organization for a few years, so he's not a completely new face. These guys trust him. And I trust this Boston Celtics team to be at least one of the top teams in the NBA and compete for that championship. And one last thing I want to mention before we wrap up this week's podcast is the new Celtics jerseys, their new uniforms. Now, their regular uniforms are not changing. They've got the classic look. However, every team in November has a City Edition jersey, and the Celtics are introducing that City Edition jersey early. The very first game of the season against Philly, they're going to introduce their new uniforms, which is inspired by the late and great Bill Russel. Not only inspired by, but Bill Russel himself, before he passed away, helped contribute to the looks and design of this uniform. Take a look online or just watch it when the season starts. It's a darker green than normal, and it's got black trim and gold trim around it, and it's also got some diamonds on it. It's got 6 diamonds on one side and 5 diamonds on the other. Why? Because 11 championships for Bill Russell. Who does that? The only other players to win 11 championships are his teammates. So this guy, as stated by the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, Bill Russell was the greatest champion in all of team sports. The countless accolades that he earned for his storied career with the Boston Celtics only begin to tell the story of Bill's immense impact on our league and broader society. Bill stood for something much bigger than sports, the values of equality, respect, and inclusion that he stamped into the DNA of our league. And I'm so happy to see other players that share some of his values. And I'm so happy to see a uniform that is dedicated to the late great Bill Russell. Number 6 at the top right of the uniform and on the shorts. It's a very interesting, classy take, and I'm excited to see them wear it. I'm excited to see them play with pride in it. They've got also 11 small diamonds around the number 6 on the shorts right in the middle. It's just an amazing uniform, an amazing touch. The whole league is celebrating and honoring Bill Russell with the number 6 patch on their uniforms. So look out for that. Boston Celtics history is going to be all over the NBA no matter which team you watch this season. And it's all because of Bill Russell and his amazing contributions to the game and to the league itself, and to each one of us who have been watching it in some way or another. I hope that you have been impacted by his life, whether or not you've watched his time on the court. I suggest you get into reviewing or researching more about who Bill Russell was as a person, some of his stories. Just an amazing guy. You can see why everybody is so excited to honor him this season. So look out for those City Edition jerseys. If you agree with me, let me hear it down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this week's matchups against Philly, Miami, and Orlando. What teams do you think we're going to beat? What teams do you think we're not going to beat? Do you think I'm wrong about any of this, or do you think I'm right? Do you agree with me? Put it down in the comments. If you do enjoy this, I want to give you the most information in the least amount of time so that I don't waste your time. And if you enjoy that, if you appreciate that, please drop a like and also subscribe so that you can get a notification when these weekly CloverCasts come out. I want you guys to be ready for it. It's going to come out every week on Monday. However, as far as exactly what time on Monday, that's dependent on a few other factors. So in order to get the notification when this podcast drops, you've got to subscribe. And I'm also going to be outside of YouTube on a lot of different podcast networks. So search for me on whichever podcast network that you follow. And hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of the beginning of the Celtics season, just as I am. And we will be back next week for another CloverCast.